Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my coming out story and a little bit more about coming out. When I came out of the closet, I was pretty scared of what people were going to think about me. I thought they were going to think I'm weird and that I didn't belong, and I thought my parents were going to be, like, really shocked, and I didn't want my mom to be upset. Um, at that time, when I was coming out, I had just broken up with a boyfriend of mine that I had been with for a year, and she thought that I was pretty much going to stay with him the rest of my life. And me liking a girl, it was just like, I didn't think my mom would ever accept it. And so I was scared and I just wanted to be happy. And I wasn't happy with myself not like showing everybody who I was. I was always open and I wasn't ever shy. And at this point, I had enough of hiding myself. And for a while, I thought I was bi. I grew up in a small town and like boys like girls and girls were supposed to like boys and you're supposed to marry and have kids and grow old together, and I always thought that's how it was supposed to be for me too. And when I was younger, I had no clue what it was being a lesbian or bisexual or gay. Like, it was just never told to me, and I didn't know until like junior high, and by that time I thought I was supposed to be straight. And so I'd have relationships with boys, and if they try to like be a little bit more serious with me, like kiss me or hold my hand, I felt so awkward and comfortable, and I just wanted them to be my friend. I didn't want anything else from them, and I didn't understand why. So when I got into high school, I started to realize like what I liked about girls and what I didn't like about boys, and I wanted to be with a girl, but I thought I still had to like boys. So I started identifying to my friends as bisexual. And so when I first told them, I was scared, I was nervous, and I didn't know how they would react. But most of the time, all they wanted to do was ask questions. They'd ask me, like, questions about who I liked, or if I thought this girl was pretty, or what I liked about girls, and after a while, I didn't feel awkward anymore. I felt really relieved to know that my friends and the people that were close to me knew who I was and what I liked. But I still wasn't completely content. So I had that boyfriend that I had for a year. And then I met this girl, and she was completely different than anybody else I've ever met. She was funny, she was smart and talented, and she had this like sense about her. She was like so self-aware and just so like she had this light about her, and I was so attracted to her from like the first moment I sat down and talked to her. And it was a feeling I never felt before. I never had that type of attraction to somebody where you just look at them and you knew. Like, I always had to like try and make myself like a boy. But with this girl, it was just like so simple to like know that I liked her. And eventually I ended up breaking up with that boyfriend and starting to go out with her. And I knew. I knew I wasn't bi. I knew I was a lesbian. The way I felt about girls and the way I felt about boys were really different. And then when I got more serious into that relationship, I realized the type of wall I had up with a boy and how with a girl I felt no barrier. There was no wall. I was completely comfortable. And I had true feelings for her. And I didn't for him. And so before I started dating her, I knew I wanted to tell my mom. And telling her was nerve-wracking. It was scary. I thought about it for a little while, and I knew I had to tell her right then and there. We were driving to my friend's house, who later became my girlfriend, and we stopped to get gas, and my sister was in paying for the gas, and it was just me and my mom alone in the car, and she was sitting in the front seat, and I was in the back, and she was facing forward, and I kind of had my head down. I'm like, Mom, I have to tell you something. And she kind of just like, oh, what is it, dear? And I'm like, well, Mom, I'm bisexual. And after I said it, I couldn't even believe that the words came out of me. And I just kind of sat there, and I was like, okay, did I really say that, or was I just thinking it? And she just kind of turned around, and she was just like trying to talk to me, and like she made it seem like I was in this big phase, and at this point I felt like I was like in the deepest love that there was possible for this girl, and I was like, no mom, I know I'm bi. And at that time I still didn't like fully accept that I was a lesbian. I was still like convinced I was like bi. And she was like, well, you'll grow out of it. And so I went to her house, and the moment I got into the door, I bawled my eyes out. I was so upset. I just wanted her to like know how sure I was that I did like girls, and she just didn't understand that. And it was really hard for me. And when I did find out that I was a lesbian, I was so relieved. It felt like there was this big weight lifted off my shoulders, and I was finally comfortable with myself, and I finally knew who I was. And it's till this day still like it is hard for my mom and me to talk about this. She is still so convinced that I'll go back to a guy, and she wants me to go back with a certain guy, and it's just like those feelings were never there for me. And now I know who I am, and I'm not going to hide from it. I don't want to limit myself to what I'm not. Like, I'm happy. And if she doesn't accept that, and like she doesn't want to accept it, that's not my problem. She can go ahead thinking that I'm going to change. But I know who I am, and I know I'm not going to change, and I don't want to hide. And I hope that anybody out there that thinks that coming out of the closet isn't worth it, if it's right for you, you'll know when you can do it. Just like do it for yourself though. Don't do it for everybody else around you, because that's not fair to you. You have to be sure of yourself, and you have to do it for you. And if you do it for anybody else and then you get out and you're so uncomfortable and you just don't know what to do with yourself, then you're going to wish you would have waited for the right time, or when you're fully 100% sure. So I just want everybody to like think about it and tell somebody the way that you're comfortable with. Don't do it the way that anybody else did because you think it'll be easier that way. Do it in the best way you know how. And you don't ever have to do it. If it's something you want to keep to yourself and keep personal, and you can live with that, that's okay. But if you're like me and you want people to know who you are, then do it at your own accord. Don't do it for anybody else. So I hope everybody has a good day, and I hope that everybody is truly 100% in love with themselves and comfortable with themselves, because that's the greatest gift you can give yourself, is the reassurance of knowing that you're normal, you're okay, and that you're an awesome person, which I know everybody out there is. So have a good night.